Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And folks trickle in, that's perfectly fine. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your late afternoon to join us for this breakout session. My name is Yusuf Sajid. I'm the product marketer for teams focusing on healthcare. Prior to working with this vertical, I helped launch our education offering. And prior to even being at Microsoft, I started my career in healthcare consulting around the time of Affordable Care Act, which was a really interesting space to be in. So really near and dear to my heart. So again, thank you guys for being here. I'm joined by two of our lead engineers, straight from Redmond, Washington, Michael W. Lamb and David Newman, who are gonna come up here and gonna spend quite a bit of time walking you through an end-to-end demo of the capabilities that we have to offer. And so let's go ahead and get started. To give you an overview of what we're gonna be speaking about today, and for those at home, for you to follow along a bit easier, we're gonna go ahead and start with talking about what we mean by health team collaboration. You see many of you guys at the booth this week, which has been great. And so explaining a little bit about the problems we see and the solution that we've developed and how we've taken teams to customize that for healthcare. Next, we're gonna spend some time with the demo, going through the different scenarios in which you've heard about today. You know, this week we were really fortunate to have St. Luke's University Health Network here to give you a quick glimpse as to how they're using teams in healthcare from places like messaging to meetings and beyond. And so this demo is going to be fairly comprehensive in showing that. We're going to lightly touch on some case studies and some case studies of some folks abroad as well, so you can see what teams in healthcare looks like in places like the UK. And then finally, we've been working really hard to develop adoption content. Because I think talking to you all this week, we've understood adoption is something that is key to your roles. And so we've developed some content that is available for you to use. Make sure before you exit the session, we actually have these USB swags as well for you to take and go, which has all the content in there. So that's a quick little glimpse. We're gonna go ahead and get started by showing you a video of St. Luke's University Health Network, based between Wisconsin and Illinois. Again, it's 15,000 employees spread across 10 different hospitals, 300 sites in total, and how they're using teams to coordinate care. And if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look, St. Luke's was featured on Monday in the keynote, and that video is up as well, so you can go ahead and take a look at that when you get back home.
At St. Luke's University Health Network, there's over 3,000 nurses, and right now our big focus is Microsoft Teams.
We're dealing with multiple different modes of communication technology related to information sharing.
The biggest issue facing doctors today is information overload, and Microsoft Teams is giving us one place to look for that information.
There have been a lot of changes over the 13 years that I've been in practice.
Microsoft Teams is definitely making it easier. We hold our meetings through there. We use video chat as an efficient way of communicating between the different departments.
I think the freedom that you have empowers people.
Microsoft Teams really gives us that one interface on our cell phones, tablets, or our desktops.
We have the most up-to-date information at our fingertips, which allow us to focus more on patient care.
We are able to do real-time assessments of our clinicians and providers doing interactions with the patients and the families.
Now we can literally do it as quickly as a phone call, but have that shared experience of being able to look at the record together, looking at the x-rays simultaneously in a way that's secure.
Microsoft Teams will change the healthcare space.
Teams will continue to expand the way we collaborate with each other.
Microsoft Teams empowers clinical care teams to give the best care possible.
And again, that was just a quick glimpse as to how St. Luke's is using Teams across those different modalities as we've spoken about, from chat to meetings, even scheduling as well. And so we know that in working with our customers, the overarching goal they have, including St. Luke's University Health Network, is to provide patients the best care possible. But the underlying problems that we're seeing in this case that we're trying to solve with Teams are twofold. And the first is fragmented systems. And we've realized that it's adding a lot of complexity to the work of both clinicians and also non-clinical staff as well, so administrative staff too. Having to have multiple point solutions from small things of remembering logins to having information spread across multiple fragmented systems as well is really creating a lot of problems in the healthcare space. And the second problem and issue we're seeing is around poor patient data handoffs. And so when one shift is changing to the other, or when a patient is being navigated throughout their journey and their care journey, having poor patient data handoffs is resulting in issues like readmission rates being increasing. And so these are the two problems that have been kind of foundational in how we've thought about customizing teams to address the needs of healthcare systems to achieve this goal. Now, we really wanted to ensure that you had the opportunity here to get the right talking points and the right outcomes in mind so you can have those conversations back at home to help deploy and implement with the decision makers, whatever that may look like in your organizations. And what we've seen in working with our customers is the four ways, the four outcomes that we're striving for. The first is around patient safety. And so again, Teams is built on that secure Microsoft 365 cloud. And we know that oftentimes clinicians may have to have a trade-off between convenience and doing what's needed in the moment and compliance. But with Teams, knowing that it's a secure platform, both your clinicians and patients will know that they're working with trust. The second is the quality of care. And so it's working with a system that works for clinicians. Teams is a modern UI, it's a modern UX, it's familiar to clinicians. The ramp up is not as intensive perhaps as the multiple point solutions that they may be using. It feels familiar. And that just makes it a lot quicker so they can focus on providing patient care and using something that feels really familiar to them. The third is around cost reduction. Again, having everything in one hub, which is our intention with Teams, it's one hub that integrates all the different workflows, can result in that cost reduction that you see and having multiple point solutions in this fragmented systems. And the final piece is around growth, and this is really about ensuring that you're providing the best care possible. So using tools and teams like Power BI to analyze and visualize data, uncovering insights that perhaps you wouldn't otherwise through analog processes, and also being more efficient in terms of cost as well. So what is the tool that does this? We talked about what are the problems, what are the outcomes that you can achieve with Teams, those talking points to bring back home, and so that brings us to our tool. So I'm going to quickly talk about this, but we're going to go a lot deeper in the demo. So again, Teams is the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365. And Microsoft 365 is the productivity cloud of Microsoft. And with Teams, we're thinking about it in a few ways. The first is secure messaging. Oftentimes, clinicians may use unsanctioned consumer apps to communicate just to get done the communication they need to do their job well. But with Teams, clinicians can communicate on a secure platform. And we have messaging capabilities that are fairly extensive. And this is messaging that could be one-to-one, or it could be one-to-many as well, like a group chat. And some of our secure messaging capabilities range from the Teams Smart Camera, where you can take a photo and it stores on the Microsoft 365 cloud so that clinicians can perhaps send information to specialists around the hospital or network, knowing the phone's not going back home with them if they're on their own device. Features such as having audio clips, so you can speak into that and send that as a chat rather than text. And again, we'll be sharing a lot of these as well. And then urgent messages as well. And so we've been, again, developing Teams and customizing to healthcare. We work hand in hand with our customers, and then we develop features like urgent communications, where a clinician can ping someone and they receive a buzz on their phone every 2 minutes, up to 20 minutes until they respond. And so you've seen that come to life. It's important to note that in addition to communications, Teams is a full meetings solution. So it's a full meeting solution in that your clinicians can have an ad hoc one-on-one video call, or they can have more structured multidisciplinary team meetings. And they can be audio, video, and they can share the screen. And we have new AI capabilities like background blur as well. And these meetings capabilities work across devices. It could be on their mobile phone, laptop, workstation on wheels, in a meeting room, what have you. And so the meetings capabilities are fairly extensive. And something to think about your devices as well is to have one seamless experience that's not only meetings happening on the devices, but then you can switch to chat when that's ready, or they can switch to a group collaboration around patient information. Teams is also a full telephony calling solution as well. And so they can have calls within the hospital or perhaps calls with external participants using Teams. And again, keeping it on one app and not having to switch context so frequently. It's important to note that when we talk about Teams and health team collaboration, it's inclusive of non-clinical staff. In places like St. Luke's and Advocate Aurora, we've seen healthcare staff across billing, volunteer services, business functions use Teams to get their work done. And a core part of that is file sharing and file collaboration. And so with Teams, you can bring your favorite Office first-party apps like PowerPoint and Word, and you can have real-time collaboration. And again, all that documentation is on the secure cloud. And then we know that a lot of what it means to customize your experience is around bringing in applications that you're already using or developing. So Teams is a platform, meaning that you can bring in your own line of business apps that are native specifically to your healthcare system or organization, in addition to those Office first-party apps as well. We saw Monday that St. Luke's used Power Platform, a platform where you can have low-code development, to build their own patient experience app. They do a lot of shadowing of doctors, and the patient experience metric is really key to their growth. And they automated what used to be a paper process all into an app, and all that data gets aggregated, and they're uncovering insights to see which ward or team of clinicians are performing stronger than others when it comes to patient-provider interactions. And one last thing before we switch it over to the demo is that Teams is built in a way that enables folks to work with trust. So SOC 1, SOC 2, high trust, GDPR compliant, and is developed in such a way that enables Hipaa compliance as well. At the end of this presentation and on those USBs that you all have, we have worked with a company called Hipaa One to help explain how to configure and use Teams in a way that enables that compliance. So again, that security eliminates the need to compromise compliance and convenience with Microsoft Teams. So with that being said, we have this great interview. I'd like to invite to the stage Michael W. Lamb and David Newman, who are going to come up and give you a demo of our capabilities that we just talked about today. It's going to range from a mobile experience to the meetings and talking about new features we just announced this week, like virtual consult as well. And so with that, I'll hand it over to David and Michael.
Great, thank you, Yusuf. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is David Newman. I'm one of our product managers in our Modern Workplace for Healthcare team. So today we're going to do a demo fest of a number of different features that we've brought to Microsoft Teams to help empower your care teams. And I'll let Mike introduce himself as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Lamb. I'm the lead product manager on our healthcare investments, specifically all these things that we're doing in Microsoft Teams.
Excellent. So the place we're going to start is particularly important for healthcare is on mobile. So that we know that the majority of first-line workers in a healthcare setting are generally on the go when they're working together, and they often have the need to both urgently and efficiently communicate in multiple different scenarios in a clinical setting. So what we're looking at here, we can imagine that I'm logged into Microsoft Teams and maybe I'm a nurse on the floor who is doing her rounds. And I have my mobile device and I have a list of channels, maybe a ward or a specialty team that I'm participating in, as well as I have a list of both my one-on-one messages as well as group chats within Microsoft Teams. So within the interface, we've introduced a few features, and so we're going to start with secure messaging. Yusuf mentioned that we know today that a lot of clinicians are actually resorting to using consumer communication apps just to efficiently get done the work that they need to do. And we know that that's not meeting compliance standards, so what we've brought into Teams is essentially the ability to have that efficient communication but have that done in a compliant manner. So a few of the features we're going to look at. So, for example, I can go to one of my group chats here, and we could see that I have a conversation happening here with a group. The first feature we're going to talk about is our urgent messaging capabilities. So not only can I have a messaging functionality, but in the case of an urgent situation, I can actually set the priority of that message and send an urgent message directly through the team. So I'll say, we need you to come and take a look at patient Mike. And what we'll do is we'll set the priority of this message to urgent. What this does is this allows the message to actually come through to the user. If they're not answering that message, it's going to continue to notify the user every 2 minutes for up to 20 minutes until they interact with that message. And it's also going to send an email if they're not interacting through Microsoft Teams. So this allows the nurse who's on her rounds to be able to get the message to the right person at the right time. So let's go ahead and send that message. Another feature that we've built into Teams is that we know that often in a clinical scenario, images are often a very common method of communication between clinicians. It gets across the severity of a situation. For example, wound care is a very common scenario where I need to consult with other clinicians. So with Microsoft Teams, we've introduced through our smart camera functionality the ability to actually take a picture. So we can see, we'll take a picture of my hand here and pretend that maybe I'm communicating a certain area of swelling to another clinician. The best part about this particular feature is that not only can I do things like annotate on top of this image to point out particular areas of concern, this image actually doesn't get saved to the local device. So this is saved securely in Microsoft 365 as a part of this conversation, but it doesn't ever get posted to the personal device of the user. So this allows you to maintain your compliance in these types of scenarios, and why not, let's go make this an urgent message as well, and we'll go send this across to the user. So that's just a couple examples of a few features that can be used in a messaging context. Another very commonly used feature is a lot of times clinicians don't have time to spend writing out particular messages and typing those out on their phone. So they can actually use the voice record functionality inside of Teams, and they can actually hold down this button here, and now I can take a voice recording. So when I'm doing something like a shift handover, I can provide some extra notes inside of this channel message with the clinician that I'm handing off to, and that'll be recorded, and they can go listen to that. So let's go send off that clip that I just recorded. So jumping back into my channel view, a couple other features to point out here inside of Teams. So we do have shifts functionality that's included as a part of Teams as well. So no longer do clinicians have to manually go to a whiteboard or place phone calls in order to be able to figure out how do I change or swap my shifts. We have an integrated tool inside of Teams called Shifts that allows the clinicians to both have a personal view of their shifts that they're scheduled for. They can go and take a look at the different teams that they're a part of and the different shifts that are a part of those teams. But they also have the functionality to go and be able to do things like swap shifts with other users. They could offer up shifts directly inside of Teams, and they can do this now all inside of the mobile app. So the last feature that I'll show on mobile is the ability within Teams, both as an IT administrator and as an individual end user, to actually customize the experience that I have within the mobile app. So you can see here that I've got a few different apps inside of Teams. These types of apps can actually be pinned and configured by an IT department in order to bring the most relevant functionality directly to the users. So if you see, even as an end user, I can come to the edit functionality. I can actually move some of these apps around. So if I wanted to bring files up here, or shifts is very important for my team, so I'm going to move that up. This actually can update and customize that mobile experience for the end clinician. So now we're going to actually switch over to more of the care team coordination aspects within Teams.
Thanks, David. So care team coordination. A lot of care teams today do have a lot of different scenarios that they collaborate with it, all the way from from a clinical setting with patient coordination, all the way through to administrative workloads where they have to communicate with other parts of the organizations that aren't necessarily clinical. So here on the left side, you'll see this clinician is part of multiple teams, some of which are very oriented towards the people that they work with, some of them is discipline specific, as well as certain ones where they're based upon the wards that they work in. And then on the right-hand side here, what you see is a list of patients. And so as part of Ignite 2019, we've also announced a manual mode on top of the existing capabilities that are currently in private preview to connect Microsoft Teams through the FHIR interface with health information systems. So essentially, what FHIR is essentially a healthcare industry standard that allows multiple health information systems to transact medical information, specifically around patient records, and there are resources that supports medical records all the way through to things like insurance information. In this example, you'll see that this is connected to a Fire server currently. You can curate a list of patients, especially in these different types of collaborative scenarios ranging from medical rounding all the way through to these multidisciplinary team meetings. And here with adding patients, essentially it enables users like clinicians and so on to be able to query the EHRs or these health information systems through the Fire interface layer to find the necessary patients that they would like to add it or curate it to any sort of list that they would like to go through in the context of these meetings. And within it, you'll see that as I select like Tina Wilkins, all these things aren't being replicated in the context of Teams. All of them are being streamed in real time. So it's connecting to the system of record, pulling that information through so that clinicians get the latest information that they need to really coordinate care around the patient. The second mode that we have with the Patients app is a manual mode. So why do we need a manual mode is essentially a lot of these discussions that we've encountered with different organizations is that as they think through their strategy moving to the cloud or making this type of information available through web endpoints, as they architect it out, clinicians still needs a solution today. And what we've seen so far is a lot of like sending, Excel spreadsheets through email or the heavy use of whiteboards with patient information written on close to the nursing station to determine, which patients are admitted in which room and relevant metrics that they're tracking over these medical rounds. And so from this perspective is how do we provide them a secure and compliant canvas so that information could be hoisted, all the relevant events are audited back into our compliance stack so that medical workers could feel empowered to actually share that information with other clinicians. So here, there's a set of columns that are manually defined, so this could be configured by different wards for different things that they use. And you can also choose to display different types of columns as well. So I can add in like average length of stay as an example because this is one of those defined columns that shows up here. I can also basic capabilities around sorting. So say I want to be able to view this list based upon the severity of their mobility score, as well as the fact that I can click on one of these records that gives me a more detailed view and also offers a notes section. Not necessarily about medical notes because most physicians will be charting these directly back into electronic health record systems, but this is really about those scenarios where especially during shift handovers, there's a lot of logistical things that are required. So think about like the questions that nurses would ask patients, like their relevant experience where it could be different nurses asking the same question shift over shift. Like how do we resolve some of these like inefficiency in processes is by giving them this collaborative canvas so that nurses and other kind of clinicians can put in relevant notes so that during shift handovers as well, they have much more context to provide the services back to these patients. Of course, all of this is supported on mobile as well, which we'll show in a little bit. And that's also, again, to demonstrate the fact that clinicians are always on the go. They have their devices with them. So how do we ensure that we give them the relevant access so that every time that they work with a patient after the fact, they can jot down the quick notes instead of having to write it down onto these little pieces of paper that they carry around all day. And from that perspective, through the conversations as well, we also have what we call a compose extension or a messaging extension. So in the context of writing messages, users are able to invoke our compose extension. So in here, I can select patients where it brings up what we call a task module. So within it, it shows all the different patients that are part of that list. You can search for all those relevant patients as well. And once you select one of them, we draw an adaptive card in the context of the conversation. So what's great here is the fact that clinicians that are discussing about certain patients, they have the context of who they're talking about. They don't have to retype information, which are pretty prone to error, especially if you're typing on mobile. And the fact is, like, if this message was posted like 24 hours ago and I only gone to reading this message right now, when I select like viewing in an app, again, it gives me the latest information about this patient. So I'm not taking a snapshot of some information that was posted 24 hours ago. It's still about the patient at their current state. So that's the Patients app on desktop. So let me briefly walk you through how it looks like on mobile as well. So very familiar experience, just like on the desktop. You get all the same relevant details and visual management capabilities within it. As you select the details of it, you also get a reflowed view of all that details, and you can also take relevant notes for this patient too. And again, like all those capabilities that you saw as part of the conversation canvas, this is a different team as an example that also allows users to mention relevant clinical individuals to gain their attention.
Great. So now we're going to shift gears. We're going to talk a little bit around the calling and meetings functionality within Microsoft Teams. So we saw some of the ways that clinicians can stay connected via messaging, via team collaboration, sharing of files in a persistent channel. And we also saw some of the extension models that Mike showed inside of Teams, where you can bring different apps inside to the canvas of the collaboration. But Microsoft Teams is also a complete cloud meetings offering and phone calling offering. So if we look at the mobile app first, we saw that I had some messages, earlier inside of chat with particular sets of users. One thing that I can do directly from within the mobile app is I can actually initiate a phone call or video call directly from that conversation. So it's all seamlessly inside of the same experience, and I can go initiate, a quick call, for example, to this user, and we can actually start a real-time conversation. So switching over from mobile, let's jump over to desktop and talk about a few more of the meetings features. So I'm going to plug in here. As that's loading, we're going to look at some capability within Teams to do things like recurring meetings, scheduled or ad hoc type meetings. So what you're seeing on the screen now, this is a calendar view. One very common scenario we see with clinicians is the ability to bring in multiple remote health systems, whether they're clinicians within your health network or outside, by doing both ad hoc as well as more scheduled type recurring meetings. So one of those clinical scenarios is, of course, the multidisciplinary team meeting, where you may have multiple different clinicians from different backgrounds that are oftentimes meeting for multiple hours and maybe reviewing a list of particular patients. So you can see here on my schedule, I may have, I've got a multidisciplinary team on Friday. From Microsoft Teams, any device that I'm on, I can actually go and join those meetings directly. I can click into this. This is pulling and integrating directly with the Outlook calendar to show information about the particular meeting, and everything is a one-click join from within the Teams canvas. My video, gets turned on. I can go and use new features that we had demoed this week at our keynote, things like the background replacement functionality. So if I were going to, add a particular type of background here, either just regular blur background or adding a custom background that might have the logo for my team, I can go do that directly within the Teams meeting. So I won't join this meeting. The other function I do want to show is, of course, the ability to spin up ad hoc meetings inside of Teams. So we do have a Meet Now functionality, where if you very quickly just need to spin up a video call, you can do this with one click as well. The other great part about Teams meetings offering is we do support, of course, web, desktop, and mobile join, but we also have a great set of certified devices and room systems. So if you're looking to set something up within your organization that has a lot higher quality cameras for joining into video, Teams supports a broad range of different device partners that you can use to enable these types of meetings. Second piece that I want to mention is Microsoft Teams is a full phone calling system. So you can actually replace some of your PBX, your telephony infrastructure that you have in the organization. You can allow clinicians to both use Teams for making VoIP calls, but also making calls over the telephony network. So very simply from within Teams, whether I'm on desktop or mobile, I can type a phone number directly within Teams. I can add my phone contacts and bring them directly into the conversation. Okay, so New feature that we're going to talk about, we announced this week that we're very excited about. I talked about being able to interact with clinicians that are within the organization. We've also introduced some new functionality this week around the ability to schedule a virtual consult directly with external users. So in this case, this can enable some scenarios around your clinicians can actually connect externally with patients via a video interaction. So the app that you're seeing here is the new consults functionality in Teams that essentially allows an administrator to manage multiple departments of staff within the organization in a calendar view and schedule slots with external participants. So a few features that you see here. So you can see I have 5 staffs that I'm managing in the Lambda Healthcare department. I can go and actually add additional staff through my settings dialog. So if I needed to add additional users inside of the organization and add them to this team, I can go and do that through this tool. This actually allows me to go and see the real Outlook availability of these users and see their free busy slots. So you can see I can flip through days just like I can in Outlook, and I can see different appointment slots that they would already have on their calendar. So let's imagine that I'm looking to schedule a virtual consult with an external patient. One thing I can do is I can actually create templates of different types of appointments that I would be providing to those patients. This allows an administrator to not have to recreate the appointment every time they're looking to schedule a particular type of video consult. So you can see here I've created a few different types of visits. These can be completely customized depending on your department's needs. What this does is it actually creates a template for the set of text, links, and information that are going to be sent out to that external patient who's going to be joining into that consult. So now we've seen the settings, let's go ahead and let's actually schedule a video visit. So I can see Alan DeYoung has some time here from 3 to 4. Let's go and schedule a virtual consult. I can use the templates that I created. So let's go and schedule a flu or cold visit with Mike. And Mike's going to help and play the external patient. So what I'll do is I'll type some information. So let's use Lydia as our example patient here. And what I'll do is just provide an email that will actually be used to send out the notifications out to that external patient. So that's all that's required on the patient side. They don't need to have any particular type of email provider. They just need to have an email account for me to be able to send these notifications. What I can do is, of course, select the date and time of the appointment. I can add multiple staff members here of the care team in case I want to make this a group conversation that includes multiple clinicians. I can also add internal notes. So I'll say this is a flu visit with patient Lydia. And these internal notes will be sent to the care team. So if you need to insert any additional background for that care team as they're joining an appointment, you can add that information here. I also have functionality here to actually customize and set reminders that will be sent out to the patient. So depending on the type of visit, I might want to do a certain type of notification reminder to the patient, maybe a day before, include some information for them ahead of that appointment. So now that I've set that up, let's actually go and send this flu or cold visit out to the patient. When I hit send, this is going to do a couple of different things. First and foremost, it's going to put this appointment onto the Outlook calendar of the care team members that have been added to the appointment. So we can see this flu or cold visit showed up here from 3 to 4. If I go back over to my calendar, I will actually see that this appointment is here as well for this particular user. We can see that just showed up. As an internal team member, I can click on that appointment. I can see that it's now on my calendar with all the internal notes that were sent out for the appointment. So now we're going to switch over. Before I join on the clinician side, I actually want to show what the experience now looks like for the patient to receive that invite. So over on Mike's screen, we can see that I did just receive a confirmation. So we sent this to Lydia's email. Lydia receives a formatted email that actually comes from the department itself. So it's not ever sent by a personal email. The personal emails of the clinicians don't actually appear on this invite, and it's nicely formatted in a way that's easy for the patient to read as well as be able to join. So any custom text that I have added would also appear within this invite. It also has the date and time of when the appointment is and a link for the patient to be able to join. So we'll have Mike go and join the appointment. The great part about the virtual consults functionality is that the patient doesn't actually need to have a Teams account or any sort of Office 365 license in order to be able to join. They're just going to be joined automatically with video in their web browser. So Mike will go and enter his name or enter Lydia's name as he gets connected. And when he clicks on join, he'll actually be placed into a virtual lobby. So he's now in our lobby experience. He's waiting to be admitted by the internal care team. And so we're going to switch back over to the care team calendar. And we can see in this experience now this appointment has turned blue because the patient has joined into the consult. If it's within 5 minutes of the appointment join time, Teams will actually display a notification that the patient has actually joined into the lobby. So no more waiting around, waiting for a patient to join. I know exactly when they're there, and I can go and join this from Teams. So I'll go use some of the background, custom background technology you saw previously, and I'll go ahead and join this meeting as well. You can see when I join, I can see that Lydia is now waiting in that virtual lobby experience. And when we're ready to get connected and I have my information on her, I can just go ahead and admit, and then we're going to actually get connected on both sides. So you can see, I can now see Lydia. Hi, Lydia. And now we're connected on both sides. And if we switch back over, we'll see that Lydia can also see my video as well directly with that custom branding that I added in the experience. So with this, because we're now connected through a Microsoft Teams meeting, I can also leverage a lot of the great intelligent meeting features that are available through Microsoft Teams already today. So one of those features, as an example, is the secure cloud recording of the interaction. So if I do need to initiate a recording for this session, as a clinician, I can control that and initiate that through Microsoft Teams. I can also use some of the great features that we demonstrated this week as well. Things like the new live captions capability. If I want to see a real-time view of the conversation, I can look at that. The other feature that's very useful for a healthcare scenario is after a recording, with Microsoft Stream, I can actually generate a post-meeting transcript. So I can have a fully generated transcript of that interaction and have that all enabled through Office 365. So with that, now we're going to jump back over to our slide deck, and we'll invite Yusuf back up.
Great job. Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you, David and Michael, for that demo experience. I think it was really cool to see some of the healthcare-specific capabilities that we're building, especially around EHR integration. A couple quick things to call out. As we mentioned, Teams is a platform. And so we wanted to show a few examples of partners like Innovasair, Amion, Notu, and Avanade that are building on the Microsoft Teams platform for healthcare specifically. From things from process automation to scheduling, they're leveraging Teams as a platform to integrate and create new value for customers, specifically customer outcomes, healthcare customer outcomes around patients and that clinical staff. So I want to call that out here, especially for the developers at home or watching here or watching at home today. We've seen great customer momentum. I want to call two examples out that are just our favorites. So Advocate Aurora, what Mike showed you with EHR integration, what they did, and you could read along here, is they brought in that information from the system of record. They were able to then have video meetings and screen share with specialists who are at different hospitals within the network. And so everyone's on the same page and has the full context of the patient's care history. So they have the system of record information, the notes around the care logistics, and everyone involved with that patient, even though they might be disparate in location, on the same page. And then Calderdale and Huddersfield in the NHS out in the UK is piloting virtual consults, which David showed. And you could see their excitement around bringing in patients through this type of video collaboration to extend their care to perhaps folks who may be remote or in other scenarios to engage in the video collaboration with virtual consults. So how do you get started? How do you participate in some of these private previews that we've spoken about? Well, this is a slide where you whip out your phone and take a photo. So, so we have a few resources for you. On the USBs that I passed out earlier when I was meeting you all, and if I didn't get a chance to talk to you, please take one here today. The deployment flipbook, we're so excited for this. This is an A through Z deployment guide that walks you through not only how we think of teams and what the intention is, but also helps you understand a little bit more about the best practices around deploying. It's a live document and URL that will update continuously. We'll make sure we post on the tech community to let you know when those updates happen. The second link is just our Teams homepage. So if you want to get a crisp, simple overview of Teams to explain it to other people, or a login for Teams, you can do that there. We talked a lot about Hipaa compliance and how Teams enables that. And so we have this Hipaa 1 compliance white paper that walks you through details and not only how to configure Teams, but how do you best use Teams to enable that compliance. And that's a great tool to have as well when you're having this conversation and socializing Teams across your network. And then finally, if you'd like to sign up for the virtual consults private preview and the EHR integration FHIR-enabled mode private preview, you can email this address and we'll get back to you and engage you all in those two experiences. Finally, we have a great session tomorrow, especially I know there's folks here on the developer side around using Microsoft 365 to build industry-specific solutions, including healthcare. You don't have to be a developer to attend because, again, we have some of these low-code versions as well, and it's great information to have. If you're unable to make it, there's a session code and you can watch on demand. With that, we thank you all so much for taking your time out and being here. And again, folks who are streaming this, thank you for tuning in. We rely on your feedback, not only here at Ignite, but ongoing as well. So please give us feedback on this session. We would love to hear from you. And if you would like to watch this session again or share this with others back home, this is the link to get the information from this presentation. So again, thank you so much for coming. We're going to take questions on the floor. We actually have some of our engineering and our marketing counterparts here in the audience and with Michael and David, so we can get to more people that way too. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for being on this journey with us for Teams in Healthcare, and have a great end to your Ignite.